Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Data Dispatch. I hope all of you guys have been well. We took a small break, but we are back with a major announcement that Palantir Technologies has officially released the date of their Q3 earnings for 2024. We're going to be talking about this because it is right before the date of probably one of the most important events this year and could be for the next few years. So a lot to break down for you guys as Palantir Technologies holds in the lower 40s, doing very well in terms of consolidation, holding at these record highs. We have some analysts coming in pinpointing where they think Palantir is going to be headed in the near future. In addition, we have the S&P 500 still continuing along with the broader market to close at record highs, especially with an election that's only about 3 to 4 weeks away. What does that mean for the market, especially with the anticipation of those interest rate cuts? And on top of that, NVIDIA still doing very well. So if you're a new or returning viewer, hit that like button, subscribe for daily videos, and of course, not a financial advisor, collecting all the data and dispatching it to you. Now, pop it up on the screen right here. Palantir announces the date of their third quarter earnings for 2024. You have Amit, big Palantir content creator, coming out here sharing this news on X that Palantir announced today that the results that will end on September 30th will be released on Monday, November 4th, following the close of the U.S. markets. Now, this is a day before, I repeat, a day before the presidential election for the U.S. And you got some funny on the Palantir Q&A. Funny questions coming in already talking about are any plans to offer a dividend in the future? And hey, where's the buyback that you guys talked about for a long time ago? Remember, they announced that big buyback program, and we kind of haven't heard anything since then. A lot of people have different kind of theories and hypotheses on what that means. But nonetheless, that's when the earnings are coming out for Palantir. What we are seeing for price action, consolidation at the 43, looking pretty well here. Remember, these are all at basically all-time highs, kind of record highs for Palantir. At volume, a little bit lower today. We did have a banking holiday today, but we still do have options activity that is still fairly active. In terms of 44 on the strike price, you got 20,000 on the call there and nearly 20,000 at the 45, compared to still some puts that are out, right here, but not outpacing the calls. Now, what we are seeing for Palantir specifically, talking about making bold calls. And what does this mean for possibly Palantir eyeing the $50 mark? We talked about eyeing the $40 mark. People saying, hey, it's way too high. What happened? Palantir hit that. And we're seeing consolidation right now. Now, we know Alex Karp has been very transparent about everything that he's doing. People are starting to become a very big fan of him, comparing him to other big CEO rock stars like Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, talking about here that Palantir, you have right here Ponzi, a big analyst from the street, decided to lean into the frenzy, adding Palantir to the position, despite the fact that the stock is still trading at an all-time high. It's a strong stock in the market, and I couldn't agree anymore. All of the things that we're seeing in terms of criticism, valuation, price to earnings, price to sales, yes, they're all sky high. But right now, the momentum behind Palantir and AI in general is kind of throwing that all to the side. That does not mean, of course, to completely ignore it. That is a big flag that will continue to be flashing in front of our eyes. But in terms of strong momentum, Palantir is really outpacing the bears right now and making the short sellers probably go pretty crazy. We see up 162% year to date. Palantir is doing very well in the growth of both of the divisions, commercial and governmental side of things. And that leads into right here, Palantir, amidst this S&P 500 boost, now we know that they're included right here, hitting this yearly high, eyeing the $50 mark by the end of the year. With the way that the momentum is running, depending on how all the other circles and variables align in the market, this still could entirely be a possibility with the momentum that we have seen, especially with a large number of AI applications and numerous governmental contracts and also commercial contracts that are continuing to make the headlines. We're seeing Fibonacci levels. We talked about this at the 35, 40, 45 as support, resistant levels that could dictate future movements for the stock. But nonetheless, I think Palantir, if we do have bullishness and momentum that continues, could continue to rise. could possibly close at an all-time high. Now you see in Seeking Alpha here, this announcement date for November, we talked about here, November 4th, is not updated yet on Seeking Alpha in terms of that. This is some breaking news that just came out. So this will probably be updated in tomorrow's market. Now, what is actually happening with the stock market? These are big things that could really have an influence on Palantir, possibly hitting that $50 by the end of the year. Now, Dow Jones, S&P 500 hitting all-time highs. We do have the broader market that is doing very well, especially as investors are awaiting the next batch of key corporate earnings. We have a lot of earnings that are coming in right now, and they're doing fairly well. So far, 30 S&P 500 companies have actually posted results beating the earnings consensus by about 5% on average. This is doing very well, showing a lot of resilience in the economy and outbeating the expectations of Wall Street is setting for these big companies. Now, according to the Bank of America, this is still better. What we're specifically seeing here, despite the market climbing to all-time highs, the only anxiousness and the variables that are there for the risk of downside potentials, possibly against a backdrop, are looking at, you have the election here that is going to be in 3 weeks, and you also have suddenly rising treasury yields and uncertainty about the pace of the Federal Reserve policy. And the reason why we're starting to see the uncertainty from the pace of the Federal Reserve policy is because, remember, we had the 50 basis point cut in their last decision. However, inflation and the jobs data came in a lot hotter than expected. Inflation not as hot as the jobs data, but still, both those economic pieces of the data came in warmer than expected. And what this means is the Fed will do any drastic type of changes or measures to try to keep that key inflation target to about 2%. And they said they can make any adjustments that they need, and they will follow suit with that. So that is where you see uncertainty about how fast and how hard this actual rate cut cycle will continue to go through. You also have geopolitical risk in the Middle East. We're seeing that tensions are high right now across the world. So what does that mean, especially here, combining here with the election coming over here in the next 3 weeks? So volatility here in the short term, a lot of the market is expected that. However, over a 3 or 6 month plus time horizon, still pretty bullish just on the idea of lower rates for the right reason, and with the probability that the Fed is actually doing decently well at achieving the soft landing in the economy and earnings growth. We're seeing this with a lot of resilience in the market, and the S&P 500 has gained almost 23%. The bull market officially marked its 2-year anniversary date, and the benchmark has rallied about 63% in total since hitting that closed low of October of 2022. So with that, looking good. NVIDIA also looking good, helping to bring up the broader market. We see NVIDIA closing here at $138 near these record highs. Now, what are some of these main catalysts that have catapulted NVIDIA another 2.5% on the day? We do have a lot of AI demand, of course, that has been seen in the news. You have the CEO that came out and said that the demand for Blackwell, their new AI chip, is basically like on a 12-month waiting list, and the demand is insane. What you're seeing that supply and demand, simple curve, simple equation in the market that's going to continue to bring higher prices for NVIDIA. Now, also, in addition here, NVIDIA shares are also up, not just due to the fact that we're seeing the demand for AI chips, but we are seeing a lot of analysts that are continuing to reaffirm their bullishness on NVIDIA via price targets. And specifically, Citigroup coming out right here recently gave NVIDIA a buy rating with price targets of $150 per share. Goldman came out, piled on the likewise, increasing its price target to $150. And we're seeing these share prices and the market caps that are closing in to be the best stock or the highest weighted market cap stock in the U.S. economy. On top of analysts that are still raising their price targets, shows you the amount of anticipation and what they expect in terms of momentum and demand for NVIDIA. How high can NVIDIA go? Nobody knows, but it keeps continuing to climb. So what I have for you guys talking about the market, up in the green here. I still think we're going to see bullishness in the short term, just due to some of the volatility that is ahead and what we've been seeing with the momentum. However, things could change at any moment, so make sure full risk assessment is conducted. Do your own due diligence out there. What do you guys think about this? With Palantir releasing their earnings right before an election date, do you think that is a good idea in terms of what they have to say? And also, do you see Palantir hitting $50 in the near future, or do you think it's time for it to finally cool off? Peace out, take care. I'm gonna catch you guys tomorrow.